Friends and patriots, welcome and good evening to you. My name is Ajuri Ngelale, and I come to you from the nation's capital. This is Eagle Eye. On this edition of the program, we take you all access into President Muhammadu Buhari's landmark effort to enhance import-export facilitation with a special emphasis on the ease of doing business. While understanding that hard reforms are being made through the provision of physical cross-sectoral infrastructure, oftentimes investors are more concerned about the soft reforms and regulatory frameworks which impact their commercial activities. With this in mind, we go all access with the Special Advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on Ease of Business, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, on this edition of Eagle Eye. Without further ado, let's head to our nation's center of excellence, Lagos. It is an early but busy morning at the Small Claims Court in Lagos.
MINC 256-2022. Oyekachi Gerald Ineziawa versus First Bank Nigeria Limited. Parties absent.
The Small Claims Court is an innovation brought by President Muhammadu Buhari's Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, chaired by Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo. Special Advisor, here we are at the Small Claims Court here at Oba in Lagos. We know that, of course, you've been so focused on different ways in which we can improve the ease of doing business in our country. Can you speak about why this institution is so critical and what led to its establishment?
Thank you. So the Small Claims Court is an intervention that we came up with by looking at global best practices. You know, we've been working with World Bank. We've looked at how other countries had expedited access to justice. That's one of the most pressing problems for small and medium-sized enterprises, being able to get your money, not having it stuck. So we looked at what other countries had done, and we saw this intervention and decided to curate it in Nigeria. So we approached Lagos State Judiciary, the then Chief Judge of Lagos State, and we sold the idea to her. She was really very excited about it. It's a court that's for commercial disputes only, about 10 million as a maximum. I think it's even 5 in Lagos. So you have a situation where commercial disputes can be brought to the court for debts owed. In Lagos State, you can also come for rent arrears. Yeah, and you just have self-representation. The idea is that it's very cheap, it's very fast. So you can have self-representation. There are reduced evidence. So there's no adjournment. It's sitting once a day for like 5 days. And the total process takes a maximum of 60 days and execution within 30 days. So within 90 days, everything is done. Completely done.
You know, Special Advisor, the World Bank has clearly noted much of the progress that's been made in terms of ease of business, even citing directly interventions in the judiciary in the country, like the one we're discussing now. Can you give Nigerians some sense of, in appreciating kind of the context of why these interventions are so important, the 60-day mark for the beginning and conclusion of these cases? What was the previous kind of trend of things before now?
Oh, it could take years.
Wow.
It could take years, high legal fees, a lot of adjournments. So people just end up giving up.
Wow.
You know, landlords can't get arrears of rent. I mean, if you have a transaction and it goes, sometimes they just have to cut their losses because they don't want to spend the time sitting in court, going to court today, tomorrow, paying legal fees. The high courts are congested. So the magistracy, you've seen it yourself, bustling, vibrant, but the quick execution of justice, it's a lot more expedited than going to a high court.
At Industrial Layout in Elupeju, we encounter a business whose complaint on reportgov.ng led to sweeping regulatory changes, now benefiting micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises nationwide.
Really exciting.
It's always a delight. Yeah, thank you.
Using homegrown cocoa beans, Loshi's chocolate is made in Nigeria for Nigerians by Nigerians. The presidential advisor provides further insight.
So this is an example of a business we actually met from a report that came through ReportGov. MSMEs like this that work in food and bev sector sometimes have challenges with regulators like NAFDAC, sometimes have challenges with paying of taxes, things like that, regulatory environment reforms. For a number of years, we've been working with NAFDAC. So now NAFDAC has an automated process for registration. For food, it's 90 days. For drugs, it's 120 days. And for renewal also, there's an automated process. So that has been going on for some time. And these are the kind of businesses that have benefited from that. So before now, we had a lot of complaints. I'm not sugarcoating. It's not that we're devoid of complaints completely, but even like we'll have testimonials that things have indeed improved.
Most often resolving problems on the move and now crossing from the mainland to the island on the third mainland bridge. The presidential advisor troubleshoots after receiving directive from the vice president.
So we need to escalate because HEBP has asked. He really wants to know what happened with the agro-export plan because we promised the stakeholders and they're going to come back any minute expecting. But at least the progress so far is not bad, but we need to move faster.
This holder of a Cambridge Law degree and a doctorate in international trade law from the prestigious Stanford Law School was appointed to the Vice President's office in 2015 and serves as the Secretary of PEBEC.
PEBEC is a direct result of feedback. When the administration came into office in 2015, private sector immediately signaled the difficulties in doing business in Nigeria, broad range of issues. And it's not to say that no administration had tried to fix anything before, but what's unique about this administration is the coordinated effect, the output that a collaboration elicits. So the PEBEC was inaugurated in 2016, July of 2016, and it's chaired by the Vice President. His Excellency chairs monthly meetings of this council. So it's a very hands-on working meeting. About 13 other ministers. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment is the Vice Chair. You have all the ministers that need to be on the council, and the head of service playing a very active role as well. What this does is we're able to troubleshoot the problems that the private sector has identified and move in a collaborative manner. An important thing to mention about the PEBEC is that very quickly we realized that we couldn't do it without the National Assembly, without state governments, even the local government, and of course the private sector. So all arms and levels of government are represented on the council and private sector. So the collaboration really does work, and that's what has delivered traction for this particular intervention.
International travelers come into the nation's capital on this brisk Abuja afternoon.
How are you doing, sir?
The airport crew is ready to welcome both citizens and visitors alike. Passing into the terminal, one encounters reportgov.ng booths where real-time complaints can be registered and responded to for passengers. Moving deeper into this new international gateway,
Welcome to Nigeria.
new visitor processing procedures create a feeling of familiarity for new entrants into Nigeria, another feature brought by PEBEC.
Since 2016, the PEBEC intervention, one of our most important reforms has been with the entry and exit of people. We started with airport reforms, reviewing the Abuja runway, opening terminals in Port Harcourt, in Abuja and in Lagos. But one of the soft infrastructural reforms that we worked on is the visa on arrival. The visa on arrival is a 48-hour electronic visa. You apply in your country of origin within a week to your travel date, and you're issued a pre-approval letter that you bring to Nigeria, and you get your visa on your passport right in the airport. This visa has had a significant impact on the economy by our estimation. It's a 30-day visa that allows entry and exit of business travelers in particular into the country. Since 2018, we've had a 384% increase in the number of business registrations in Nigeria. Even between 2020 and 2021, we've had a 119% increase. This just shows that from ideation, business owners and partners that are having a meeting on Monday in Shanghai can be in Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt or Kano by Thursday afternoon having a follow-up meeting. This has been a robust intervention, and it's been one of our most popular reforms.
Special Advisor, we've seen some of the outcomes in terms of what we've heard from the World Bank in the ease of doing business rankings globally. We've seen Nigeria move up quite significantly, in fact being named twice now under this administration as being one of the top 10 most improving nations in the world in terms of improvement in the ease of doing business. If you look back now at some of the interventions, of course we were within the kind of sanctuary of the judiciary earlier today. What would you say would be the most impactful interventions in terms of where you've gotten a lot of feedback from the private sector about their change in experience?
What we try to do is not eat an elephant. We work in a very systemic approach based on listening, based on feedback. So we have a funnel system, interaction with private sector, you distill, and then we also look at global best practices, and we pick what is going to be most pertinent and relevant. We prioritize. So what is most cogent depends on which company, which sector. We've worked on starting a business, so you have a lot of entrepreneurs that have ideas. You can literally have an idea at 4 a.m. and have that business registered by 10 a.m. in the morning. Business name reserved, and it's 24 hours for the actual registration. So it's now 4 hours to reserve a business name, and within 24 hours you can have your business registered. You can also have a link. FIRS and CAC collaborated. Those are some of our automation interventions to make sure that you can have a tax identification number alongside your certificate of incorporation. So it's things like that. Automating processes. Private sector have just told us that just the fact that there's a team listening to them and working on unbundling some of these bureaucratic bottlenecks has been very impactful for them.
Excellent. On average, what would you say was the gestation period for business registration in the country before some of these interventions?
Oh, it was on average about 6 weeks.
Wow.
And that is using a lawyer. It could take much longer, especially if you're doing a trusteeship or a not-for-profit organization. It could take much longer. So we had to streamline that process completely. CAC at the time had 6 manual forms. We condensed it into one form and automated it, put it online. So you literally cannot register for a business manually in Nigeria anymore. So we did that in phases. First of all, we started with Lagos, Kano, then 5 locations now. Nationwide, it's completely automated.
Special advisor, one of the unique things we've noticed is your focus on subnational kind of business practice and some of those soft infrastructural reforms that need to be taking place at that level. What would you tell Nigerians about what you've seen in terms of the state's willingness to cooperate with you to make the needed adjustments? Because we know you're seeing some of that at the federal level.
Yes. So very quickly again, we knew that collaboration works, and it's one economy at Ajuri. You know, it's just one Nigerian economy. So our motto is basically Team Nigeria. So from 2017, the PEBEC went to a collaboration, a partnership with the National Economic Council, the NEC, and all the governors unanimously agreed to adopt the PEBEC model, which means there's an Ease of Doing Business Council. The council is usually chaired by a deputy governor, sometimes the governor himself, like Nasarawa, sometimes the head of service, it just depends. Each state has a reform champion that works very closely with our office. We also work closely with the investment promotion agencies. We then replicate the best of practices across states and international best practice as well. So PEBEC started working very closely with Lagos State and Kano State. That also had to do with the World Bank and what we were pushing, trying to get our external validation, and then cascading those reforms for all Nigerians, whichever state or region you've been in. So the subnational intervention has really been one of our most successful, and I really must appreciate all the governors and the emphasis and focus and attention they've put on this.
One of the really interesting kind of attributes of the interventions of your office is your insistence on verification and measurability. And we know that President Muhammadu Buhari has given so much priority through, of course, the establishment of PEBEC and through several other interventions made in collaboration with PEBEC to ensure that what we're doing is not vague, but very tangible and very measurable. What can you tell Nigerians about how you arrive at the process of measuring progress in the subsector of ease of business?
The council is chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, and he's a very detailed, meticulous person. So this council has working meetings. We use a traffic light system. So everything is about deliverables. It's red, amber, or green. There's nothing else to it. We don't do like long minutes or anything. It's like, has this agency delivered? Is this reform? How is it getting along? Is it ongoing? Is it a go? Or is it stalled? So first of all, the way the council is set up and the deliverables and the manner, coordinated manner with which we work. We also knew very quickly that we wanted to have a globally acceptable verification process. So we selected the World Bank's flagship, now on pause, Doing Business report, and we started understanding that process. What that helped us do is to see what other countries are doing. That particular intervention, the World Bank Doing Business report, traces the life cycle of a business. So from inception, starting a business, all the way to insolvency, if a business fails, to be able to fail with dignity. And that led us to putting very robust, sophisticated business rescue provisions into our CAMA, which hadn't been reenacted in over 30 years. So that's a collaboration with the National Assembly, the CAC, Ministry of Justice, a whole broad, of course, section of business law, Nigerian Bar Association. So you see that everybody is able to now verify how the work is being done. So when you hear that Nigeria moved up 39 places in the ease of doing business ranking and was twice top 10 reformer globally, which is no mean feat in a 3-year period, it's because of specificity. So businesses are asked pointedly, does this work now? And they're able to say yes. So that verification. We as a team, we look to the testimonials of small and medium-sized enterprises. That is really our scorecard. So we do a lot of stakeholder engagement. You know about our Lituation tour as well. Really engaging the demographics, and we use that to set the bar for the national action plans, our annual national action plans, and our strategic work.
Special advisor, I had the privilege of joining you in some parts of the country as you conducted what you referred to as the Lituation tour, where you've been able to interface directly with the private sector in various parts of the country, taking into account the peculiarities of those parts of the country. What would you tell Nigerians about what you've learned from those engagements and about what it enables you to do in terms of a forward-looking approach to making even further progress?
We've been around the country a number of times since 2016, but going on a targeted tour, we were focused on young Nigerians with the entrepreneurial spirit, because I told you we have 6 areas of priority, and so we targeted whom we were going to have in the room in every stop at these 6 geopolitical zones. We then partnered with state governments. We had host states, so governors were hosting us, and then our colleagues across the region were coming to those events. That's public and civil servants, along with the federal public and civil servants. So alongside, on the sidelines of Lituation, we had technical meetings, either the day before or earlier on, and then we all go listen to private sector together. Without exception, every governor put their prepared remarks aside. Because with Lituation, it was almost also a peer learning. It was a lot of things combined. We took 3 a bit more sophisticated entrepreneurs that are still maybe sort of under 40s to talk with really much younger entrepreneurs in the room. So you have companies that are beginning to scale with some level of success and notoriety coming to speak with upcoming MSMEs. And after listening to that balanced view of how they maneuver through the system and the opportunities there, and just the idea of perseverance working, and the governors being there with their cabinets, listening to this, the interaction and the outcomes from those interventions were really meaningful.
I think Nigerians are now very familiar with a lot of what you have achieved under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo. One area where Nigerians may not be as familiar is the area of what do we now look forward to as we move forward as a nation. What is our expectation, and what is your office doing to prepare the ground for the kinds of tangible steps that still need to be taken to take our economy to where we all want it to be?
Ajuri, what gets measured gets done. So one of the pillars of this intervention has been our National Action Plan system. It's been globally recognized. We've been invited to present on this internationally. What that is a 60-day accelerator. We started it in 2016 and we've continued. We just finished the 7th iteration. It's where we decide, after listening to private sector, we negotiate space with public and civil servants on the steps we're going to take, and then it's 60 days ready, steady, go. And we measure it. We announce at inception, we announce midway, and we announce at the closing of the intervention. That has enabled us to have annual reports, measurable. That's how we've been able to have traction on the World Bank, because we can point to these things. We can trace it even up to contribution to GDP. It's empirical. So we've had empirical impact assessments as well. We've also had tracking of our Executive Order 1 compliance in the public and civil service. That's on transparency and efficiency of public service delivery. So we have compliance reports as well. These are all publicly available documents on our website. And the reason we took the time to record all this is because what gets measured gets done. So you can see, where is Nigerian Customs Service, where is Nigerian Immigration Service, where is NAFDAC, where is CAC, where is Nigerian Ports Authority. And then we can now have discussions around leadership, around consequence management, around traction, around teamwork, around efficiency, what legislations are hindering. We have our omnibus bill on business facilitation, never been done before in this country. The closest we have is the finance bills, the Finance Act, which we also are part of, and we've had 3 iterations of that so far. But the omnibus bill that has just been approved by PEBEC and that's on the way to the National Assembly will be a game changer as well. The people working hard, you can see the impact. The people lagging behind, you can also see that. So we know where the pain points are, and we know who's delivering for the economy. This is what teamwork is about. So the leadership is able to call people into the room and have tough conversations that you know what, your private sector stakeholders are saying this. Whatever you're saying, this team is tracking, and this is the data. It's not an accusation, it's actually what will move us forward. So the team works without sentiment. We work on data, we work on feedback from private sector. So I do encourage everybody to go to reportgov.ng because we do work on those complaints. And also please compliment when things are good.
As always, I have enjoyed this time with you, and I thank you for your viewership. This serves as the last new edition of Eagle Eye. It has been an exciting and equally humbling experience, taking you across our beautiful country. I depart to take on a very important national assignment over the course of the next year. I thank you most sincerely for joining me along this journey. There is certainly more to come. As always, may God Almighty forever go with you. And as eagles, may we all soar and lift our nation high as we do.